Thank you so much for sitting down with us. And thank you, Casey, for bringing Tammy on with us. Can you just explain who you are and sort of what you do? I know it's a lot. I know I don't even know where this is going to go
I
because I
know.
know
I
it's a
was like,
lot.
I'm having an existential crisis. Like, from what angle? Like, who
Who
am
are
I
you?
professionally? Who am I personally? What? Um, well, okay, I'll start off and then you dig deeper where you want to go. I am a Florida native from Tampa, Florida, who has lived in Washington for the last 20 years. I generally work at the intersection of public relations and politics. And I am a food and wine and sports fan, amongst other things.
I know you mentioned that you are not only on like the library foundation board and working with fundraisers, but you're also either were or are a local public official. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I'm just coming off of a 2-year term as the advisory neighborhood commissioner for 4 whole streets in Washington, D.C. So in Cleveland Park, in the neighborhood that I live, I represented Macomb Street through Quebec Street. For those of you who come to Cleveland Park, either via metro or drive through it, I feel like mine is the block where you have like Nanny O'Brien's medium rare and the cute little Sam's Park and Shop with all the shops in it. The ANC, for those of you who don't know, in Washington, D.C., is kind of like if you have like, if the mayor is kind of like the governor, the city council is kind of like the Senate, the ANCs represent like all of the different neighborhoods. And so they're broken down into smaller areas, and then in all of those smaller areas broken down even more. So each like section of Washington D.C. has somebody who represents them and can kind of advocate to the mayor's office and city council for them. I was really focused on bringing more restaurants to our neighborhood, keeping the outdoor patio space where everyone had been dining since the pandemic and really enjoying that. And so preserving that for the restaurants on our street. And valiantly fighting to get the Uptown Theater reopened, which is in progress. But I just turned it over to Jay Bose, who's also a fabulously talented neighbor, and he's taking over for 2 years because it is a lot to serve and also do a lot of other things.
It sounds a lot like you like to fix what's broken or find ways to streamline things, but inevitably that means you're going to find more things
Yeah, I
that
have a
are
bit of a
broken.
problem of like anytime I find something that's broken or something that needs to be started, I like take it on. While that is great in many ways, it also like makes you very overloaded sometimes and not having enough time for the things that you want to do. So I'm trying to find that balance.
Totally. Yeah. And how do you find that balance?
I mean, I don't think I'm very good at finding it, but like I think when I looked at how overloaded my schedule got to be with serving in public office while at the same time serving on multiple boards, full-time job, and pursuing like not only servicing public relations clients but new business, and then trying to also see your friends and family. It was just like a lot, and I realized I was doing a really bad job, and what I was cutting out of my life was making time for friends and family, and like that is obviously like something that's like out of balance, and I wanted to fix. So I just sort of looked at all the things that I was doing and felt like if I could find a good steward to take over some of these things that I was doing, that I would be able to pass those off. And then I started a women in wine group a little over 2 years ago. So I served on the board and helped it launch as a 501(c)(3). I think it's important when you're taking on something like that you have the time to do it. Otherwise, it becomes like a huge frustration for you and others trying to get things from you. And I felt like I was kind of being a holdup on a lot of things. And so I have turned my Vin Vitalite board seat over to someone else who's doing a great job now too.
That's a skill too. It's the skill of delegating other
Yeah.
people work.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think sometimes I'm good at that and sometimes I'm not, right? And so like it's like you wanna keep your vision, you wanna achieve what you want to achieve, and sometimes that means doing it yourself. Sometimes there is nobody to delegate to. But I've been really lucky, I think, in cultivating like whether it's a network or friends, like however you want to. I feel like there's a Venn diagram there, right? Of the people that you know in your world, and finding people that can kind of help you play zone defense on those things where you care about the same issues.
It's probably hard to find sometimes in those situations, someone who can fill the shoes the way that you want them to, right?
I
Um,
mean, maybe, but like sometimes it's like in letting go, somebody does it better, right? So like on in my Vin Vitalite group, where it's a community of women who work in the wine business in the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area, and there was a need for both visibility because there was a sort of a kerfuffle a bit where a reporter that covers food in the DC area couldn't name women sommeliers, of which there are many. And so we essentially, me and four other people, well, probably more than that, crowdsourced, a Google Doc of all the women working in the industry and delivered that to all the reporters in our area so they couldn't make that mistake again. And then that kind of grew into everybody wanted to do more. And we put together an event with 12 somms pouring, recognizing women in the industry, and sold it out in 48 hours. And like, so people just kept wanting more, right? And so it was this great idea that we all wanted to keep fostering, but like the next steps sometimes are like getting more formal. And so figuring out and finding a law firm to work with pro bono to file for 501c3 tax status and all of the regulations that come with that was like a ton of paperwork and a ton of, and sometimes it's like, well, I'm passionate about like both gender equity and like, women getting sort of their notoriety and wanting more women to be able to rise in the industry. But at the same time, now every other Sunday, I'm spending time like studying regulations and IRS codes for a nonprofit. It's sort of like you get into something where it's like, I just wanted to drink wine and like
yeah,
great
well,
women.
that's the thing.
And
Like,
now, this is what I'm doing. And now the organization is like, because we did all of that, right now we're able to like accept money, like when we're doing events and fundraise, and we're giving out our first scholarships to help women get the certifications they need to rise in the industry. We're like putting on events with like vineyards and deepening people's education and opportunity. And like, that's great. So I'm so proud of what we did, but I'm also super happy to take a break.
just volunteering is one thing, right? But like you're volunteering and you're learning new things,
Yeah.
and you're trying to push these things forward, in a way that brings them into a place where it can be taken on from someone
Yeah.
from another person.
There's great people doing it, and again, like like the people that I met through that, Angie Duran and Vanessa Kaminsky, like Danya Deegan, who's running the comm side of it that I was doing before, now are just like incredible women that are taking it to a whole new level. And so sometimes stepping aside allows it to grow more.
Okay, I'm unclear how you make money, but I,
Not through any of
I,
that.
I was kind of because
Those
it's a
are
lot
all
of time,
those are all unpaid labor.
right? But I will say, like, it's just interesting how I mean, so many people feel directionless or they don't know
Yeah.
what they want their next job to be, or they can't find another job, and I think that it's just like the perfect example of like finding something you care about and diving in.
Yeah.
You meet the right people, you end up in a good place, you find something, some engine that keeps you moving forward.
Yeah, and I mean loosely defined, I make money. I generally work in public relations, and so, I work for an agency, and I have owned my own agency in the past. I've been in house. I've been on political campaigns. So there are a variety of ways that I like make money. But I think it's to me, it's like there are two things that dovetail like beyond, and they do help you make money, right? Like I have to bring in new clients to my agency, or if it's my own business, I still have to land clients. So anytime you're like meeting new people and you're passionate about an industry, like that could also become paid work, right? Like I'd love to be able to like take on clients in the wine industry. And because of the work that I put in on Vin Vitalite and like studying for my like WSET certifications and different things, like I'm much more viable to be somebody who takes that on ahead. I keep joking though, like I have to stop professionalizing my hobbies because like I'm trying to also keep them fun, right? Like, and so
Just drink the wine, just drink
yeah,
it.
just drink. I'm trying to do that this year. Just drink the wine. I want to keep tasting to like learn not only like who is up and coming and who's got a sleeper hit, but like I love chasing the talent. So sometimes it's like not necessarily the vineyard or the winery, it's the winemaker. So like I always want to know who's the winemaker, who's driving this style, and what are they going to do next. It's almost like chasing chefs in restaurants. It's like more important who's managing the kitchen as the chef than like what the name of the restaurant is. And when that person is amazing and they go to do their next thing, like I want to chase and go there. Same thing in work, right? Like chase the talent. Every time we come off of a political campaign, like anybody who was, doing amazing work, I like, in general, I love like acquiring people and acquiring talent and acquiring like friends along the way. And sometimes that has business benefits, and sometimes that has networking benefits, and sometimes you're just going and grabbing a great glass of wine. I will say it is very purposeful, and I think a lot of people sometimes like don't do that or like overthink it, like if I'm not close enough to that person to reach out to them, or I don't know them, or I only know them online, or like whatever, like I'm very purposeful about growing my friendships. And when somebody's doing interesting things, or I think they are talented, or I want to be in their orbits, like I reach out to people and like, let's go to lunch, let's grab a glass of wine. Like, so you don't ever know where it's going necessarily, but like there's never a downside to like enlarging the people that are surrounding you and kind of, making your life more interesting.
And then speaking of which, because I think we talked a little bit last time about working from home and the challenges that come with that. I mean, we all work from home, actually. We're all always battling that balance between like waking up and just rolling in front of the computer and then rolling away for dinner.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's like when the pandemic hit, I mean, it was obviously insane on a variety of fronts, but from a work standpoint, I'd already been working remotely since like 2015. So for me, my like work life didn't like change that much. And while I now work for an agency and there is an office downtown, like it's more kind of WeWork style and not an office space. So like if I'm having meetings or things like this, I'd rather be working from home where it's quiet, where I have my own space. I feel like people who are parents and things like that with, kids at home, like I understand that like it's not the same and they might want to go to the office to have that quiet or whatever. But for me, I feel like I get more done. I roll out of bed, I hop online, I take care of things, but at the same time, I can go for a walk at lunch or do what I need in my neighborhood. And it, not only helps me be more scalable with that personal professional balance. I'm really lucky to work for somebody who respects that. I mean, she has said to me, like, I don't need you to ask for permission to go to a workout class or to get your nails done. You don't ask me for permission when you're working late nights or weekends when we have things that like require that. So like, I trust you as a, adult professional to manage your time and your deliverables for your clients. And you can do that wherever you are, right? And so like there are times where I've taken full vacation days and been offline, and there are times where I have worked for 3 weeks from Paris during the Olympics, and it all works out as long as you respect each other, have that flexibility, and hit your deadlines.
As someone who was working remote before COVID then, and you're like interacting with professionals who have gone through this change, did you notice any difference of the people you interacted with who were used to more of a 9 to 5?
I think everybody processes these changes differently. And, it was funny. We were talking about this the other day about just like the ways of working, and like, we're actually talking about it as like our team at work. We're kind of having like a get together to talk about like the ways of working, right? Because some of us / a lot of us, right, still have like a bit of a pandemic mindset. And I don't mean that in the sense that everybody that I work with is a badass and gets stuff done and like, it is like all over it. But at the same time, and I am guilty of this as well, right? Like sometimes you're just like camera off, or you're like, I'm wearing my tie-dye sweatshirt or my Taylor Swift Eras sweatshirt for like, the 5th day in a row or something. And like, I just think like it's time to kind of like, it doesn't mean you have to necessarily go back to sit at a desk and be a 9 to 5 person. But I think it's like, for me, that means like when a client's on a Zoom that like my camera is on and I'm presentable, and like just kind of like level setting that is something that I think a lot of places and people need to do coming out of it. Because, especially here in DC, there's like this, obviously the federal government pushing everybody to go back every single day of the week. And I think there's a lot of like reaction to that on a bunch of ends, because people are saying it's like, oh, it's like you're returning to work. And it's like, oh no, I've been working and we've been hitting our deadlines and we've been doing all the things, right, for like the last 5 years in just a different location. And so like the whole idea of, does it make you more productive to get in traffic and, spend an hour and 30 minutes in the car to get to work, to sit at a desk with bad fluorescent lighting and be on Zoom calls all day, and then leave at like 5 and then sit in traffic for another hour and a half? I would argue that's absolutely silly. And that's a justification for you paying for the real estate that you have, more so than like us delivering on our work. People should be able to do what they're doing from anywhere. We all work on our phones and our computers at this point. It's not like you have to be tethered to a desk. I think that's antiquated and silly.
I totally agree with that. You love to connect people with jobs too. Like you're very like it's like a passion of yours to connect people in that way too.
Yeah. Well, I think, I think like a lot of people, as I migrated my time away from Twitter, I've spent more time, I think, in the last like 2 years on LinkedIn. And I'm like less going to LinkedIn for like really reading about like, I don't know, I guess sometimes I get news from there or whatever. But like, I feel like every time I log on, right, I see a job because I'm connected to somebody. It's maybe not a job I want, but I'm pretty sure somebody in my network might. So I oftentimes will like share those with a little bit of a like cool job alert kind of flag on the top of it, and letting people know like, is it remote? Like what area is it in, right? Like I live in DC, but I also part-time live in Florida. I'm from Florida. So I have like a lot of friends in both places from working at political campaigns and agencies. I've got friends all over the country / the world. So when I see those great opportunities, I try to share them so that if somebody is looking, they can go ahead and apply. And I also always joke that like if I didn't share it and it's a really cool job, I might want it.
It's a cool balance of like creating a community, but also a network at the same time. And those don't have to be mutually exclusive.
Yeah, agreed. Mm-hmm.
So Tammy, what do you think is next for you in terms of like your ventures or what you're starting up or getting into?
Always an evolving question. I don't know. I think like, listen, I think we evolve and change based on the experiences that we have over time. If you asked me that question 10, 15 years ago, I was like, I want to keep climbing the sort of communications ladder and be a chief comms officer or chief marketing officer one day. And I think, not that I'll never do that, but like, I think to me, I don't want to do that at the expense of my like life, right? So like it is more important to me to be able to take a wine vacation every year and go to a new region. It is more important to me to be able to spend, time with my friends and family and have a little bit of flexibility. And those tend to be jobs where you have to be much more rigid. So it would have to be the right thing, the right fit. And I think you have to like, to me, like I think I'll say this because I feel like almost everybody has had one, but when you have had a toxic boss that like absolutely like sends you to therapy and like changes your body structure and your core, like I value very much my peace when it comes to work. So I want to make good money. I want to do good work. I want to do it with good people. And if I ever do go back in-house into a structured way, that way you can bet that I will fully vet whoever I will be reporting to and ask for their references just like they're asking for mine.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Changes your body structure. Hits hard.
Yeah. Like when you can feel it in your blood.
Yep.
Because it's so overarchingly mean and bad and disrespectful and
I think that it's obvious that Brie and I have both been there too.
And I think most people have, right? And it's I mean, Casey, like we kind of come from like a similar background there, right? Everybody thinks, you're a star and a hero, and like behind the scenes, you're just like somebody's really trying to like shred your confidence.
Okay, so we are at time. I kind of like where this conversation went. It was about community, about following your passions, about work-life balance. I guess, is there like a North Star? Is there like a quote that you live by, or like how do we marry this all together?
I don't know. I don't necessarily have a quote. I feel like I need to come up with like a Real Housewives tagline or something on the
You've
fly.
been you've been waiting for this your whole life.
I know, right? Oh my gosh. You know what I should do is I should chat GPT it and be like, what would my tagline be based on what you know about
That's
me?
such a good idea.
I'm going to do that while we're here, if you don't mind.
No, go for it.
This is kind of funny. This is what it thinks of me. So the tagline would be, I play the long game, but I always score early.
Amazing.
I
love that.
actually that makes
I don't hate
sense.
that. As I'm wearing my Everybody Watches Women's Sports t-shirt and getting ready to go to the Washington Spirit game tonight, like, game on.
Wait, Casey, do you want to do like a little sign off? We need a sign off.
Well, Tammy, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you taking the time, and we love talking to you.
Thanks for having me on. This was great.
And thank you for listening to The Strick. If you have any thoughts, we'd love to hear them. Comment here, on Instagram, or LinkedIn. This is a podcast from Istrico Productions. We'll see you all in 2 weeks.